Hello. This policy analysis is focused on reducing Portland's environmental and societal impacts related to energy consumption. Let's look at some of the conditions surrounding the problem. But first, a quick note. Energy usage tends to be consistent throughout a state, so main statistics are assumed to be representative of Portland. Now in 2010, 56% of electricity was generated from renewables, and by 2016, this had increased to 75%. In terms of home heating, 61% of Maine households rely primarily on oil. Petroleum also dominates the transportation sector. In fact, between oil consumption for heat and gasoline consumption, Maine is one of the most petroleum-reliant states in the country. In 2010, 46% of Portland's CO2 equivalent emissions were attributable to transportation, 27% to electricity generation, and another 27% to on-site activities such as heating. Perceptions of the problem range from pollution to cost and security, and some do not see a problem at all. Pollution, whether in regard to environmental health or human health, seems to be the dominant perception of the problem, and as such, it has been the focus of most current policies. Cost and price volatility can be a burden for those in poverty or on fixed income, and those populations have been growing in Portland in recent years. Security, however, is not much of an issue, as most of Maine's petroleum products come from Canada. The goal of this analysis is to reduce energy-related environmental and societal impacts, and some specific objectives to help achieve this goal are to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to 25% below 1990 levels by 2030, a 10% increase in building efficiency by 2025, a 20% reduction of imported energy by 2025, and to promote alternative forms of transportation. Some policy alternatives to help Portland meet these objectives are 1. To keep current policies. Portland is by no means doing nothing regarding this issue. Some current policies are a resolution to have all municipal operations powered by renewables by 2040, a green building code for any building owned, occupied, or paid for by the city, and the Wind Energy Act, which is actually a state policy designed to increase electricity production from wind, primarily offshore. Number 2. Address energy efficiency in buildings by expanding the Green Building Code and creating efficiency standards for the residential sector. 3. Promote alternative home heating fuels like wood pellets, electric heat, or natural gas. Number 4. Invest in alternative transportation infrastructure, including pedestrian and bicycle routes, electric charging stations, or a commuter rail. And number 5. Expanding electricity generation from renewables in the form of rooftop solar, wind, or tidal. Now here you can see how the policy options were evaluated. This analysis determined keeping current policies to be marginally effective due to their scope and past implementation issues, but highly feasible. Addressing building efficiency is likely to be moderately effective, with potential variability due to uncertain policy adoption rates, but again highly feasible. Promoting alternative heating fuels is potentially highly effective depending on the fuel source, and again highly feasible. Investment in alternative transportation infrastructure could be highly effective, but is only moderately feasible due to potential costs. And lastly, increasing electricity generation from renewables is deemed moderately effective and moderately feasible, as it has some barriers to overcome. Considering this analysis, I recommend 3 policies aimed at making substantial progress toward the objectives presented. Number 1, expanding the Green Building Code and promoting residential efficiency standards, and a program to encourage efficiency be incorporated into renovations. This option is highly politically acceptable and cost-effective. Number 2, promote electric heat, specifically to work with local companies on a program that bundles electric heat with a rooftop solar array and a smart thermostat. The system would preheat the house when powered by solar and minimize heating during peak load times to reduce costs for the consumer and strain on the grid. This would likely require an initial subsidy, but proven cost savings could negate this over time. Number 3, investment in a commuter rail. Reducing commuter traffic could have meaningful impact on Portland and set the city up for future expansion. A federal grant, such as a capital investment grant, could mitigate most of the costs, but investment in product development is a prerequisite. All 3 policies should garner enough support to be passed by the City Council with ease. Thank you very much.